No, but first I gotta show it. I don't do it for free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alex just off to get the extra time questions. Joining us to answer them, Stevie Nicol, Jules Ferran, and Speedy Gonzalez, Ali Moreno. All right, saving the day.
Did you say, Speedy Gonzalez won't be happy with that comparison.
I don't know that.
Look at that. All right, first up for you, Jules. In your head, were you playing a violin when Gab was explaining his thoughts on why Italy didn't win?
Not even the violin, I was thinking so much BS there. I mean, come on, you lost to North Macedonia, you got lucky at the Euros and that's it. You know, he texted me last night after the game and said, I think I need a bit, I need you to be kind tomorrow. I was like, yeah, of course. I didn't want to go too hard on him. He was clearly upset. But to put a carton box on his head I thought that was a really bold move that he had.
Stevie enjoyed it. He thought he should have kept it on.
I'm surprised he found a cardboard box big enough to put over his head.
It was a moving box.
I didn't know they made them that size.
Moving box. Extra large.
Well, yeah, they didn't go so easy on him on last night's extra time, but he's probably happy that Dan wasn't hosting last night because it probably would have been even harder.
Dan would never have brought it up.
No.
So you're a kind soul.
I'm kind enough. I also have to go back home to an Italian husband, so I'm not going to go too far. All right.
Yeah.
I think there was, because we were on later last night, it gave him some time to stew. But, you know, at least he can support England now, can't he?
Yeah.
I didn't tell him that. All right. If the panel... he'll have to. USA, maybe. If the panel were given the following prediction at the start of the season, which one would have surprised or shocked you the most? I'll go to you, Stevie, on this. Arsenal to finish top 4, Italy to miss out on the World Cup, Milan to win the Scudetto, or Barca to play in Europa League. And obviously Milan are on course to do that, but it hasn't.
Oh, Italy to miss out.
Right.
I mean, you win the European Championships. How long ago was it? Seems like...
Not even a year.
Last summer.
Yeah.
I thought that.
Yes.
Would you like the days?
You go from winning the Euros to not qualifying.
9 months.
9 months later, you don't qualify for the World Cup. I mean, that is a complete and utter shock.
All right, what would you...
Considering the group they were in as well. Where was it? Lithuania?
That would be Lithuania, Bulgaria, Northern Ireland, Switzerland,
Wow.
and Italy. Yeah. It's Italy. It has to be Italy. And then for it to happen on back-to-back World Cup qualifying cycles, for them to not have learned their lessons, that, honestly, to think of Italy not being in the World Cup, it was crazy in 2018, but now to happen twice in a row, I don't even know how Gab gets out of bed. I gotta be honest with you.
I know, I thought Italians did it better. Jules, what do you say? Arsenal to finish top 4, Italy to miss out on World Cup, Milan to win the Scudetto, or Barca to play in the Europa League?
Nah, it has to be Italy. I agree with the boys. I mean, from being so high to being so low. And it's not just... It's not the fact that they didn't qualify. It's, again, like the boys said, the group that they were in, all the chances that they had along the way to book that place to the World Cup. I mean, we're not going to go back on Jorginho's penalties, but we're going to have to, you know, it's just... like, come on, man. It's almost they tried on purpose to not go because obviously they wanted to boycott, you know, not going to Qatar and all of that. Because otherwise, even if you tried to do it on purpose, you wouldn't have succeeded as well as them.
Yeah, we're just putting a split screen there with a picture of Gab with a cardboard box on his head. He was calling it goofy-ass stats yesterday when he didn't like the question about Italy. Yeah, he wasn't happy, let's say.
Wow.
And then Jules had to get him today as well. Yeah. Ale, you once said you can't teach pace. Is there any player not noted for his pace early in his career but got considerably faster as his career went on? Anyone that comes to mind? It's usually the other way, isn't it?
Yeah. As you get older, you don't get quicker. Your mind may get quicker, but your body cannot do the same things that you did as a younger player. No, I don't have anyone in mind. But you can work on quickness. But if you don't have real speed, if you don't have real pace, you can work on that quickness all you want. In the end, when it's time to let it go, and open up the engine and let's see how fast you can be. Believe me, I can tell you from experience, the engine seems to sputter and that's it.
I've seen it firsthand.
You've seen this question firsthand?
No, I've seen him firsthand. Spluttering. I've seen a lot of spluttering.
A lot of leaking oil everywhere.
I always wonder though, what's it like? What is the day that, is it a day that you realise, or is it just over the course of months or a year?
Do you know what it was like? You know, you go to the circus and you see the clowns and they come in the car, and all of a sudden the whole thing just falls apart. That's watching them running. It's just like everything, the wheels fall off, the bumper falls off, the doors fall the other way, the engine falls through the bottom, and the seats fall through the floor as well.
Hey, Jules, but somehow I made it work, baby. Somehow I made it work.
Exactly.
And you got the questions to us at rapid speed tonight. You know. Stevie's been mean there. All right. Oh, Stevie, don't worry. They're out for you here. Stevie, if you knew back then that a strict diet would prolong your career and actually help you improve on the field, would you have done it? Could you have gone on a Ronaldo-like diet? Do you think that was the missing piece to you becoming the greatest right back in history?
What?
Well, there's two ways I can answer this.
What?
I can answer you very sensibly and say that
I prefer honesty.
Had I been brought up the way probably the young guys are now at the... See, everybody's at academies now from when they're like 8 years old, right? So when you do that, you're taught from 8 years old to eat the right things, do the right things, don't do this, don't do that, this is what you do. And so had I been born 25, 30 years later, I'd have probably have not been eating and drinking what I did. But I'll tell you what.
There we go. Here we go, baby. Brace yourself.
I would not have had such a good time if I'd been born 30 years later as I was when I was born. I had a great time. I enjoyed every single thing that went down my neck. And I played at the highest level till I was 38. So I can't complain.
Did you? And you absolutely did, and there's no disputing that. Did you ever, during your playing days, get put on a diet for any reason?
No.
No. There was no like manager saying you can't eat this or you can't eat that.
Look, now and again, a couple of times Ronnie Moran would say to me, hey, how about you just eat a couple of bags of crisps on a Friday night instead of half a dozen? And I was like, OK, Ronnie, aye. Then shut the door and open the good stuff. Has he gone yet? Yeah, he's gone. Aye.
The family pack is just for you.
Aye. A can of Coke.
Nice question. All right. Ale, next one for you. Ferran Torres has 6 goals and 5 assists for Barcelona now. He's the player with the most goal contributions since January. Do you think he can be what David Villa was for Barcelona a few years from now?
Sometimes we get questions in extra time that are not all that great. This actually has some knowledge behind it and incisive. I like where he's going with this. Yes, I can see the same sort of role for Ferran Torres that David Villa had for Barcelona. But the big difference between David Villa when he was at Barcelona and when he was in the best moment of his career and what Ferran Torres is right now is that David Villa was a finisher and a half. Ferran Torres is not quite that. If he cleans that up, if he's more consistent with his finishing, then we can have this conversation. Until then, I'll take David Villa all the time.
All right. And praise for the question there. You don't get that often on here.
No. Some of the questions that come in, I do not know how they get through.
OK, this goes on from something we were talking about yesterday. I'm going to come to you on it, Jules. It seems that Ronaldo really only has a productive 45 to 60 minutes. Do you start him and bring him off or leave him on the bench as an impact sub? And I know Gab spoke to you about this on the Gab and Jules podcast today.
Yeah, we said that Fernando Santos, if you know about Fernando Santos and the history of Portugal, you know that he would never take him off unless Cristiano asked for it, which he obviously never does. So the question is not even asked and even not put it out there in Portugal right now. It's an interesting one though. Again, I think I agree with Ali. This one is a good one too, in the sense that I mean, Cristiano must know himself at his age now that you can't last 90 minutes, well, depending on what kind of football you're playing, but it's probably difficult for him to do that for 90 minutes. You almost have to start him, I think, because because he can still score a goal out of half a chance at any time in those 60 minutes, if that's what he can. If that's how long he can last. I'm not sure as an impact player, I'm not sure this is the mindset that he has right now anyway, so I think that could be counterproductive. Do you take him off after an hour? Again, it depends a lot on the game, on the pace of the game, on where you are in the game, if you're leading, if you're not, if you're chasing it. If you're chasing it and you put the other team under pressure and they're defending on their own goal and really deep, then I still think that Cristiano is fine. If you play on the counter because you are defending your lead and you want him to run in behind all the time for the last 30 minutes, maybe not. So it depends, I think, a lot of the situation of the game, but this is something that's going to come up more and more now. At his age, same with Messi to a certain extent, because they can't do it like they used to.
Start him or bring him on, Stevie?
You know, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you don't start him, you've got a problem, because he's not going to be a happy camper. And not that he's going to try and cause problems, but just the way he is will cause an atmosphere around the place. And the only way you can successfully bring him off is if you're 3-0 up with 30 minutes to go and you give him the old, we're giving you a rest sort of patter. Otherwise you can't win. If you need a goal, you can't take him off. But if he's that bad, you take him off and you still need a goal, he's going to go ballistic. So, good luck figuring the right answer.
What would you do, start him or bring him on as sub?
No, you have to start him. I don't think that it would be helpful for Ronaldo, nor would it be helpful for the player who's playing in the place of Ronaldo, that guy's starting and he has this big shadow hanging over him. Because he then becomes the center of the story, and it's almost as if, oh, so you're the guy that's supposed to be better than the legend who's sitting over there. It puts undue pressure on that player. And then you also have him over here sitting on the bench. And if you're the manager, you're feeling the eyes of Ronaldo just piercing behind you like, okay, all right, when am I going in? When am I going in? Okay, they need me out there. You need me out there. You know you need me out there. Come on, put me in, put me in, put me in. And then your decision-making becomes affected by that and by whatever relationship you have with Ronaldo himself.
All right, a question for each of you to round things off, starting with you, Stevie. How did you deal with your upset loss to Wimbledon in the FA Cup final, given you couldn't get over it by winning another game straight away since it was the last game of the season? Do you just hide from the media all summer?
No, you just take it on the chin.
You didn't stew over it for weeks afterwards?
No.
Did you manage your diet properly that night?
Well, the thing is...
Even though they went to that final in a minivan and you lot had all the luxuries.
So first of all, I'll say that when you've got a wife and two small children, then it's far easier because you're doing all kinds of stuff. But when you play professionally, you have to understand that at any moment, the thing's going to crash, because that's just the way it is, and it's the way it is for everybody. It doesn't matter what level you're at. It's you know, defeats and wins and all of these things are relevant compared to what level you're playing at. But a footballer's life is like that, and you know that things can just come and bite you in the backside, and when it happens, you have to take it on the chin and just say, right, try and figure out why it happened and put it right. And if it's just one of those things, then you can't let it affect you. And then you
polish the rest of your trophies.
Well, exactly. Listen, it's a lot easier having won FA Cups and league titles previously. It makes it an awful lot easier to forget about it. If it's your one and only FA Cup final that you're ever going to play in, and you lose to a team that you, on paper, should be walking all over, I would suggest that would be a lot harder to swallow. But no. Actually, I'll tell you a story about that.
Oh, here we go.
Vinnie Jones, who played for Wimbledon that day.
Crazy guy.
I was sitting I was scouting a game in California, and I was sitting with somebody on my right-hand side who knows Vinnie well. And so we called Vinnie up on the phone, And of course, she said, hey, I've got Stevie Nick sat next to me. And he said, tell Stevie thanks very much for my FA Cup winners medal, right? And I said, you tell Vinny he's very welcome because I've got 3 others at home. You're more than welcome to have that one, son.
I love it. See, those that did get to it didn't forget it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, don't worry. Stevie's got plenty. He's not worried. Ale, Neymar has 71 goals and 51 assists in 117 games for Brazil. Is it fair to say that he is one of the best international players ever since he's going to beat Pele's goal-scoring records for Brazil?
Well, any time that you beat Pelé at anything, yeah, that says a lot about you as a player. And the productivity of Neymar, nobody has put into question with Brazil. And yet, when you judge the totality of Neymar's career, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to take shots at that productivity that you just mentioned and the pure numbers. His career will not be evaluated just on numbers. He'll be evaluated on the perception of what Neymar has been and how much substance there's been in his game and how much productivity, not in terms of goals and assists, but in terms of wins when it matters the most.
Dan and I, the other day on FC, were talking about money affecting, does that affect players? And Dan couldn't understand why I was saying that, you know, the FA Cup's a great example of when a big team plays against a small team, and Dan was trying to figure out why I said that money was a problem when it comes to games like that. And it's a bit like Neymar here to me. When he's with PSG, he's not preparing, I don't believe, properly for league games. When it comes to Champions League games, I'm sure he prepares properly, but it's too late. Because when you're a kid and you're younger and you're climbing the ladder, every single day at training, every single minute at home when you have to rest, you're eating the right things, all of these things matter. And I think when he goes with Brazil, he is 100% focused on playing well for Brazil and playing with the rest of his teammates. And he is completely focused on that. And that's why he produces these numbers and he produces these performances with Brazil that he doesn't do with PSG.
What, because he knows the money? What's the implication that he knows the money is just going to come in anyway?
No, because his focus with Brazil is the focus he had when he was a young player at Barcelona. Every single thing he does is towards what happens when the game starts. At PSG, I'm sure when he turns up for the game, he wants to be the best he can. But what people don't realise is if you don't prepare properly leading up to the game, you're not able to produce your best. That's, I think, happens with this guy, with PSG.
Well, that's because Jules has got him out partying, that's why.
And actually, Jules, I think that's a lot of the reason why PSG struggle in the Champions League, because as a team, they don't have to get after it for 90 minutes week after week after week. And you can't just turn up and decide that we're going to be at our best. You have to prepare for these things properly. And I don't think Neymar prepares properly for PSG the way he does. Certainly when you look at those numbers for Brazil.
What do you think, Jules?
Yeah, I mean, we know about the lifestyle, we know about the injuries as well, and to be fair, since arriving in Paris, he's had so many between the metatarsal and, you know, all of them, some really long, even this season, the ankle one that took him out for 2.5 months. I think especially when you get to the other side of 30, which he is now, it starts to weigh on you a lot. With Brazil, you know, I don't know if again, talking about environment for Gareth Bale earlier on the show, the environment is obviously very, very different. Working with Chichi is very different, and they've got a very special relationship. And he can beat Pele's record in terms of goals. He can score 1,000 more goals. You will always judge on how many World Cups he would have won. And Pele's won 3. And Neymar at the moment has failed. It's not all on him, but he's failed. And I think that pressure that he feels on the whole country, relying on him to go and win another one, another World Cup, and try to get as close as Pelé in terms of those World Cups wins, is crazy too. And I think this one might be the last one. Remember that he mentioned it a little bit in the documentary that this could be the last one because of that pressure, because he feels that super heavy weight on him every time they go into a big tournament. Copa America, they've won that, that's okay. But the World Cup is the big one, and he can score 80, 90, 100 goals for Brazil. That would be great, and he would be one of the greatest. But until or unless he wins the big prize, which is what everybody from a very young age thought he would do, take this team to World Cup success, and so far hasn't worked out. Maybe Qatar will be the time. Maybe the next one in North America will be the one. I don't know, but I think until he does that, Pelé will always be above, regardless of how many goals he would have scored.
Well, we'll just end it by saying that they are the favourites, Brazil, for the World Cup, just above France, Jules. So we'll leave you on that one, and we'll leave it there as well. Thanks so much for your questions.
Okay.
Praise for questions today as well. Wow. Well done to all of you. Thanks for being with us. Join us again tomorrow. Dan will be back, and he won't be as easy on these guys as me.
What? What?
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and of course, ESPN FC 7 days a week, subscribe to ESPN+.